All right, my watch list for Wednesday. Let me start by sliding in the Barron's calendar here, and I've circled Wednesday. You've got mortgage applications before the open, GDP an hour before the open, pending home sales 30 minutes into the session, oil numbers, and then 2 o'clock, the FOMC meeting announcement, which usually, after the 10 o'clock or 10:30 numbers, it's just totally dead until 2, and then you get chaos. So I'm going to try to be done by the morning, all right? Try to make my money by 10:30, which usually I do anyway. And when I hang out and trade the afternoons, usually in danger of giving my money back, which today was a perfect example of. Started off today down on that DGLY trade at the open, and then fought my way back to nicely green, and then broke every one of my rules by trading the afternoon and ended up first red day in a long time. And I deserve it. Anytime you break your rules, I'm starting to get, I think, almost complacent because we've been really steady, earning money. And anyway, the afternoons are not great environments for trading right now. So having said that, I broke my own rules and had a red day. I deserve every bit of it. All right. My list for Wednesday, and again, this is really Wednesday morning. VGGL, I like the green day right at the 8-day. Really big move here, right? And now 3-4 days in a row, 3 days down, and then a nice solid green day resting on the 8-day moving average. Looking for continuation of that bounce. That's VGGL. BIOC, very similar chart, right? Nice move here and a nice bounce today. Looking for a continuation of that bounce. BAS. I've drawn a line there. This one, nice pop back here, a little cup and handle. I actually took out the highs of this pop a few sessions ago. Let's go to 15-minute candles. The high of this huge opening candle from, let's see, this would have been Friday, I think. Yeah, April 24th. The high of that candle was 957. We took that out this morning briefly, went to 959. And then kind of put in an afternoon or midday lower high, 945. So some numbers I've written down, 946, if you get over this afternoon bounce from today, could get you to 962, which is above any recent high. All right, going out, there it is on 60s. And let me just switch back to the daily. So a possible breakout in progress here on BAS. VLTC just goes back on bounce watch again. Made a little bit of money in a bounce today, but it still didn't do what, if you watch my videos, what I want to see is a fairly narrow range and then an afternoon high of day break. If you go to 15-minute candles, here was the blow off top. The very next day, put in its high about 45 minutes in. The next day, put in its high in the opening 15 minutes. The next day, put in its high pretty much right at the open, and then today in the opening 15 minutes. But you are kind of starting to get some support here around $9. So what I'd love to see is an afternoon high of day break out of a narrow range, and you could get a really nice bounce in VLTC. So it's not costing me anything to have this on watch, even if it doesn't meet my parameters for an entry. It just means no trade, and it goes back on watch the next day. All right, ANY, kind of like BIOC and VGGL. You don't have the green day yet, though, but you had a very nice spike here. 3 days lower on lower volume, just watching for a turn on an intraday basis. I don't love this one. It's probably my least favorite on the list. SYMX. Now this one, a lot of people would look at this and say, why would you even think long? Because you had the big spike here, sold off and gave back a lot of that spike yesterday, the same day it spiked and gapped, right? And then today takes out all of yesterday's trading to the downside, and you kind of have an ugly red candle. Having said that, I still like it as a potential bounce higher. Over 15 million shares. The news obviously got people excited. The news, as I read it, John Paulson buys 12% stake in Synthesis Energy Systems. So I wouldn't expect this gap to fill. That's kind of a big deal, right? And so now you're starting to come down. Let's look at it on 15s. It really held up pretty well over $1.50 all afternoon today, too. So I definitely like this as a potential bounce play. That is SYMX. Burlington Coat Factory, BURL. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. You had pretty nice support right here for a good week and a half, right? And that was kind of a previous top right here. It broke through that support and then really started a nice climb. Now, look at the daily candles. This one doesn't put in big ranges ever. So, you know, I'm less than in love with this, but this selling here was controlled, and now you're starting to get that shape change we look for and increasing volume into this support area. So I do want to watch this for a bounce. I like it if it, you know, holds this 52 area. I think we could get a bounce from here. That's kind of more of a swing trade setup though, and then the entry would be tomorrow if it gives a proper intraday setup and closes strong, then it would be a swing. But I'm still a day trader, but maybe we get a nice setup for a day trade as well, right? All right, VDSI. All right, this one gapped up, I believe, on earnings, and then sold off most of the day. But you know, it's got some support at this $26 area, and sometimes sellers just get a hold of these things. And you had a really nice bounce here, and then it kind of tapered down on lower volume throughout the afternoon. But sometimes sellers just get a hold of them, and the next day they run. So like I said before, it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. So I'm going to have VDSI on a chart, see if it gives me a decent setup. CANF, you know, this one's a little weird because you gapped up and today retraced all of yesterday, but you didn't retrace it into the gap here. So I don't know, kind of like, oh, what was that other one? SYMX, kind of like SYMX. I still think this one might bounce tomorrow. And then lastly, Crazy LOOK. This goofy move from 60 to almost 240, but now you're 3 days lower and it bounced off the $1.40 area before. So with a proper setup, we might get a really nice percentage move higher. And again, only with a proper intraday setup. These are not the kinds of setups that I can say, oh, if it gets to this price, you want to get long, because I don't know how it's going to open them. Or might gap down, might gap up, and that changes everything. So the call will be made in the chat room on an intraday basis if and only if it meets my parameters. But as weird as the chart is, it is a decent setup for a decent bounce tomorrow. I'm going to leave it at that. Don't forget FOMC. I will probably only trade the morning tomorrow. Hopefully, most days I can reach my daily goal in the first couple hours anyway. And the smart thing to do after that is to walk away. And that's what I'll do. I mean, I'll be hanging out in the chat, but I doubt I'll call anything with FOMC in the afternoon. So anyway, let's really focus in the morning, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.